Hey everybody, so I wanted to welcome you back. So I had done a video on how horses see the world, and we talked about how they see the world and how they change their eye and their vision off of the left and the right to a different image for the right that they see than a different image for the left, and how when things go directly in front of them they can't see, and directly behind them they can't see. So what I wanted to do today, because that video had a lot of views, and I wanted to kind of demonstrate that in a real world situation and being on her back as well. This is a horse that had a big time rearing problem, super sensitive to everything out there. And it's taken a while to get her. If you watch her journey, it's under Hermie or Hermione in the playlist. Make sure you click on that and I'll put a link below. So I've worked with her. So I worked with her with the tarp and just getting used to things. So I can come to this side, I can come to this side. I want to be able to see how the head starts to go up a little bit. So I don't want her to be worried about that. So it's just, once again, the tarp is just another tool that we're using. So if I was to put this tarp on her, say I'm going to attach it to the rein, or I'm going to attach it to, now I've played with her with the tarp, just like touching her and things. If I attach it to that rein right there, or that stirrup right there, and ask her just to walk around, I want to see how she's going to react to that touching her leg. The reason I did this was because she has sensitivity. I put on a jacket the other day. Finally got cold here in Florida, and I had a jacket on, and I went to go unzip it, and it made her really nervous. So when I do this, I want to make sure that I can just ask her to move around, and like that is no big deal on her. So this is where we don't want to desensitize horses to things and make them dull to it. I want her to be aware that tarp is there, but the way that tarp is laying, she does not need to move away from that pressure, because that is not my leg and that is not my intention for the tarp. So if I ask her to pick up the trot, I want her to pick up the trot. I want the head to stay the same. So even if that's touching her flank a little bit, so you can see as she's going around, I want her to settle in and be like, it's just something that's there. It's not a big deal. So I'm looking for relaxation of the brain, relaxation of the body, and then we'll get suppleness and we'll get rhythm. So that looks pretty good. I'll bring her back down to a walk, just ask her to come in and face me. So now, so you see how it's chasing her a little bit? So I'm just going to say, hey, you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to keep asking her to step in and face me until she's okay with that. Now what I might do then again is just ask her to send out. Now I've worked a lot on her about moving that shoulder over and just moving out with energy. So now I'm just going to ask her to come back in again. Good. Now I'm going to have her go the other way, so she's going to feel that on the outside. So I'm going to ask her to step out. So see how she kind of swung towards me on that outside? That means that she's got more of a concern with that left eye on the outside to start with. And so I'm going to ask her to stay out there, trust me. Ask her to pick up the trot. So you see as we start to put energy on, so could you imagine? Now, I would not do this with her until I knew that she was okay with the tarp being around her body, because I don't want a big explosion. I don't want to flood her with this. I want her to have the answer to the question before I ask the answer to the question before I ask the question. What does that mean? That means that she knows that this tarp is not going to hurt her. She's licking and chewing now, so she's not in any danger of the tarp. But she's got to be able to regulate and go, okay, I know this thing's not going to hurt me. It's been around me enough, but now it's attached to me. So how do I think through that process? If we just made her desensitized to it, then it's not going to help us later on in life. So I want her to be able to think on her own. So I'm going to ask her just to go out again. So she immediately comes this way to go away from that tarp. So I'll go, hey, nope, we got to go this way. Good girl. I'm going to ask her to pick up the trot. Let's see how she kind of comes in right there. So that what that means is that if I was riding her or something came really close to her, because she's a very nervous horse around things because she's so sensitive. So I want to harness that sensitivity for a good thing. And I want to go, hey, this is no big deal. Good. So the head starts to come down. So I'm going to ask her to come to a stop. Good girl. So now I'm going to take it off of this side. And I'm going to put it on the other side. Because different vision on this side here. So we want her to be aware. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it to her tail. Yes, that's right. I'm going to tie the tarp to her tail. Have her work with that. Then I'm going to get on her with it tied to her tail and do a changing of the eye exercise. So you don't want to miss that. It's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully it'll be uneventful, but it'll be fun. So I'm going to ask her to move out on this side. No, so now the right eye is picking this up. So this gives me a good picture of where my horse is more sensitive, in the right eye or the left eye. On the inside of the circle or the outside of the circle. So she doesn't seem like she minds this too much. She's going around really nicely. She's bent really well. So I'm going to ask her to pick up the trot. Okay, so I can see right here, looks pretty good. She was swinging that inside hip over a little bit more than I would like. I want her to relax into it. I can tell. I like the fact that the right ear is on the tarp. And saying, I know it's back there, but it's not going to bother me. I'm going to ask her to come back to the walk. Now you notice when I ask for these things with her, I've worked with her so well on just really doing minimal things to get her to respond to the gates. So better on this side. Now I would have liked to have that be a little bit quicker for her, but better on this side, she wasn't moving away from the tarp call. So now I'm going to ask her to go the other direction. So ask her to go. So see how she came into my space? So I'm going to go, wait a second. I'm going to say, let's back up. And let's step over. So she's having a hard time, so I'm going to let her go out there and work through this for a second. But remember, we don't want to overthink and over-control our horses. They will not learn if we're trying to do everything for them. We want to present the idea of something that she already knows, the basics of, and help her with that. So as she goes around here, goes back down to the walk, and ask her to come in, step in, good. And now I'm going to ask her to step into the pressure of the tarp. So I'm going to ask her to say, hey, step into that pressure, good, and now walk off. So see how much better that was? So it just took 1 or 2 circles of her just like processing in her brain. It's very important to give our horses time to process and to think. So the reason why I have the halter over the bridle here is just because she's really light on it, and I knew I wanted to get on her to show you in this demonstration. So I'm going to ask her to step in towards me. Good. So now I'm going to take the tarp off of here. So she had a harder time with the left eye than the right eye. So now I'm going to tie this tarp to her tail. And if we do this correctly, then what happens is we don't have a big adventurous thing because they're already familiar with it. So I'm going to ask her just to walk off now. So now this exercise is great. So you see that big lick and chew? This exercise is great because when she changes directions, it catches the new eye. She can't see that tarp right now at all. Can't see it at all. Which is why when you start this exercise, and you don't do this exercise until they're familiar with the tarp, but when you start this exercise, you go, okay, I'm going to now ask you to change directions. I'm going to get my flags here to help me out with this. So now she's catching that tarp out of the left eye. So it just caught the left eye now. So now it's under there. You can see it slightly, so now I'm going to change directions again. So see how that little skip? I don't want any of that. Now that's not too bad, but I don't want any of that. I want her to be completely comfortable. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, the tarp is nothing there. It's just an extension of her tail. We couldn't afford real extensions, so we did tarp extensions. So I didn't ask her to go into the trot, right? I just want her to get used to it. So I didn't ask for that, so she's licking and chewing. So I want her to know that she can come back off this way. And then I want her to know that she can come back off this way. So anytime I see a little bobble in her, and I'm going back to the ears, the eyes, good girl, I'm looking for this to be very seamless. Now if your horse can't do this transition without a tarp attached to their tail, make sure you have that down first, because we want to set our horses up for success, not for failure. We want to set you up for success, not for failure. So I want her to be stepping under nicely with the inside hip, stepping through, and then rocking back. So see how she stepped across there? That's not what I'm looking for. I want her to rock back and pull with that new inside leg. So she stepped across there. So I'm going to work on that with her now. I'm going to go, okay, we're going to step under with the inside hip. Nope. So bring her back here. And the reason why she's not doing what I'm asking is because the tarp is creating enough of a distraction for her where she can't fully focus on me. What is that good for? Well, if you're out riding and something gets her bothered and she's not fully focused on you, well, this wouldn't be too bad to handle. But we know some horses will just lose their mind and take off. So she's still with me. She's just saying, I'm really having a hard time focusing on you right now because there's something back there that I'm not used to. So I want her to step back. And this is the thing. So I want her to take a step back. So she's got to trust me now. So I want her to take a step back. Good. And now she can go forward. So see how big that was? Because she's stepping into something that she is not familiar with and she cannot see. So it's so important for us that we help them live in our world. Now, what if you're trail riding and you go through a tight area that has brambles on it, because this happened to me once, and they get stuck to the horse's tail if it's a real tight area, and then all of a sudden you got a horse that's off to the races because something is attached to them and they're taking off. This is another reason why I like this exercise. So I'll ask her to stop. I'm going to ask her to back up a step. Good. Back up. Back up, back up, good. So right there it's showing me that even though she's concerned about that, she trusts me enough to want to try. And that is so important when we're trying to build confidence with these horses. So I know that I can't get her to rock back and reach with that inside new shoulder if she's not even willing to rock back because the tarp is there going straight. So, aha, see, she stepped under with that inside hip. If you go back and rewind this a little bit, you'll see that she was real choppy before. So now if I want her to back and reach across, so I'm gonna say, hey, can we reach across there? That's what I'm looking for that front hip. When she goes to change directions, I want her to pull that front shoulder out and move it out. So if I get the inside hip to step under, so I'm gonna ask her to step under, good. Now she's in a great position to rock back and pull the front end across. Okay, I would like a little bit more than that. That also helps them open up that front shoulder. These are all exercises that are so important for our horses. So step under, good. And now I want her to step back. So she's worried. So I want her to trust me. So I'm gonna go, wait. Let's step back. Good, and over. Good girl. So I'll work on this with her. You're gonna see this over the course of the next couple days. I'm gonna do one video each day with her and the progress we're making. So I'm gonna ask her just to pick up the trot. I'm gonna go back and work on this backup stuff a little bit more with her, and you'll see the progress in tomorrow's video. But I just wanna see how she is with the trot. And then also tomorrow I will get on her and ride her with the tarp and doing all the same things. But I want to make sure I have all those same things on the ground, so when I get on her, it's not a big deal and I can bridge that really good. One of the biggest mistakes that we make as horsemen and horsewomen, and remember, there's some people that are better at teaching and training horses that get paid to do it, and it's our passion and our livelihood, but everybody who is around their horse is teaching their horse something. They're teachers. Other horses that are around your horse are teaching your horse something. So remember that. Whoever you hang out with, you may become like. So we want to give them the best experience possible. So she's not too bothered by the trotting, so the speed doesn't get her. But she had a big issue because she was a big rearing horse, that when she would go from the walk to the trot, that head would really pop up high. So I want her to be relaxed into this and find her rhythm. There we go, good girl. So I hope you guys have found this part 2 of how your horses see the world and how we can put it into play, where you can actually see it physically happening through the horse's eyes and through each gait as we explain it to you on the ground and under saddle. Look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video. Thanks so much, take care, and make sure to subscribe if you like this. Have a good day.